Hi everyone and welcome to the Two Oceans Marathon Route Guide. I'm Ross Tucker and what we're going to be doing is talking you through some key aspects of the race so that you can tactically execute a plan that gives you optimal performance on the day. And we're going to look at Chapmans Peak today, specifically the uphill section. Now this is perhaps the iconic section of the Two Oceans Ultramarathon and one of the most beautiful sections of running anywhere in the world. It's bittersweet for you though because it comes just after the halfway mark of the ultramarathon and invites the second half, which has challenging hills including Chapmans Peak and Constantia Neck. The key words then are control and patience. We've taken our cameras onto the route to film those key aspects for you and want to talk you through them right now. So this is the start just after the intersection we've just left, and it's a fairly gradual pull up on what's called Little Chapmans Peak. Now the key is that you've just passed the 29-kilometer mark, which in terms of your overall race is actually the halfway mark on the route. Of course 28 is true halfway, but in terms of time you can more or less double your 29k time to give you your projected time if you've paced yourself well. As mentioned, this is Little Chappies, not to be confused with the main climb, and it lasts about 1 kilometer, reaching a summit at around the 30k mark. At this point, because you've been running on the flat for so long, your legs might have received a little bit of a wake-up call, so don't be too alarmed if you're feeling out of breath and with quite tired legs. Just rather take in the views, relax, and gather yourself. The mindset that you should be having here is to tell yourself that this is really just the curtain raiser, not only for the main Chapmans Peak climb coming up shortly, but for Constantia Neck, which awaits you at the marathon mark. You're now on the descent of Little Chappies, which is about 800 meters long. Not too steep and not too long, but again, control and patience. Just gather yourself. Now's a good opportunity to get a little bit of food, to look after some energy requirements, have a little bit to drink, and again, enjoy where you are. Just stay in the moment, be positive, continue to affirm yourself, because the main climb of Chapmans Peak is just around the corner. As you make this sweeping bend to the right, you'll be able to look ahead of you to your left and see exactly where it is that you're headed. But again, don't get too far ahead of yourself. Stay in the moment, enjoy the amazing beauty of where you are, and just remind yourself that you still have much more than a half marathon to go. The overhang that you're about to go under is at about the 32-kilometer mark, and this is the beginning of the last 2 kilometers of the climb, which are certainly the steepest. At no point do they get as steep as Constantia Neck, but nevertheless, they are challenging, and you need to have your wits about you, because if you push too hard and try to prevent yourself from losing too much time, there is a price to pay, and that comes a little bit later. This is quite a twisty section, and so if the wind is blowing, it'll switch frequently from a tailwind to a headwind. So again, try not to worry too much about the pace, because when you're running into a strong wind, there's very little that you can do about it at that moment. Another thing that catches many runners out is this false summit, which you can now see up ahead of you. And a lot of runners will push at this point, thinking they're very near the top, and then find that they still have almost a kilometer to go from that point. This is the deceptive summit that you're going through now, and from here, you still have a little way to go before the crowds welcome you to the top. Another key thing is that if you're going to walk, now would be a good time to do it. It's always best to walk on the steepest sections because that's where you lose the least time and save the most energy. So don't be afraid to walk at this point because your legs and your mind will thank you for it later. Here's the summit now, and as you make the sweeping bend to the right, you're about to encounter the long descent down into Hout Bay, and that's where you can, in theory, make up for lost time. But that's also where one of the biggest danger points in the race lies, and for that reason we'll talk about Chapmans Peak descent in a separate clip.